Greetings to you all around the world and welcome to another episode of PressPlus here on Press TV. Today we are going to be looking at a very odd but spectacular topic, the world's first head transplant. I mean, is that even possible? Our special guest will be joining us to elaborate more on the subject. We have the strange but true did you know info. Don't forget about Farid, our good reporter who will be on the streets interviewing the public. And last but not least, Rajinder will give us the quote of the day. Oh, what's the time? It's time to discuss today's Press Plus.
Did you know? At the end of 2017, an Italian neurosurgeon called Sergio Canavero is hoping to carry out what is probably the most complex and risky operation in the history of medical science. A full human head transplant.
It's a question of if it's possible, but will it be successful is probably the real issue. And of course, that's the issue that raises a bunch of ethical questions.
With current medical technology, it's very difficult to do a human head transplant. There are several reasons for this, but mostly it's because the nervous system architecture is extremely complicated, and determining the right connections and being able to connect the brain and the spinal cord and the other nerves together accurately is virtually impossible.
This is just exciting. I mean,
head. Including brain and everything, and I don't believe it.
I have no particular view on it. I mean, you know, it depends whether you're the owner of the head or the owner of the body that it's going to be transplanted onto, I guess.
I think that is incredible that they're going to be able to transplant someone's head. That's amazing.
That's quite incredible, actually. You know, it's a big forward step in the technology.
It's science and it's progress in science. That's how I see it.
Neutral, I think.
Do you think that will be a success?
It should be a success. Even though right now, if not success, but later it will be a success.
I hope so, I don't know. Yeah. I hope so. If they use artificial intelligence, maybe it is.
I don't know, but I hope so.
I hope for the person, I hope.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Because it's not that easy, like to put one human's head to another body. It will like defect to each other. It's like not the same blood, same body, same system.
It depends on the probability, I guess, of if they've done it on animals before and what probability that was a success.
I'm not a doctor to say whether or not it will be a success. I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot. Why not try?
I'd have to keep an open mind about that because obviously...
So, let me get this straight. Who is taking part in this scary experiment?
Would you consider having a head transplant yourself?
Not yet, but if this is a success, maybe for some problem or maybe in the future for illness, for maybe a cancer, maybe, I don't know. Yes, why not? Yes, why not?
No, never.
No. Yeah, never.
How about even if your body is not working?
I would like to die.
Well, I wouldn't consider it, and I hope I don't need it, but if you need it...
But if you need it, would you do it?
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Me personally, I don't think I'd go for it.
Probably not, no. To be honest, no, I probably wouldn't.
If that would save my life, yeah.
I think it would be beneficial to some people, my head, yeah.
Well, I would hope I'd never be in the position of needing to.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I would, honestly. Yeah. But I wish it shouldn't happen, but if it would turn that way, yeah, why not? I would try it.
Well, not everyone wants to be involved in a scientific experiment. But a Russian man named Valery Spiridonov is willing to take the risk by attaching his head to a different body. Valery was born with a rare genetic muscle wasting condition. People with this illness usually don't live more than 20 years. Valery is 32 now, and he has even managed to get a higher education. He currently works as a computer scientist for an IT company. But the greatest challenge of his life is about to take place. It doesn't take a genius to see that a head transplant is extraordinary and scary.
It is believed the groundbreaking operation could last up to 36 hours and cost over $11 million US, with around 150 medical staff taking part. The first step is to freeze the head and body in order to stop the brain cells from dying. The neck will then be cut and the tubes will be fitted around arteries. The next step will be the ultimate challenge, the cutting of the spinal cord. Doctors will be using an extremely fine blade made from diamonds to minimize the damage here. The head will then be moved from the donor body, and the spinal cords will be fused together using a special type of glue. Now, once all that is in place, it is a race against time to reattach all the remaining muscles, veins, and the organs like the esophagus. Once the skin is stitched together by a plastic surgeon, the patient will be kept in an induced coma for 4 weeks to allow everything to heal.
Indeed, this procedure does have many risks and uncertainties and have raised many ethical concerns as well. Will the doctors be able to reconnect the spinal cord, bearing in mind that no doctor has ever successfully done that? Or how is this chemistry and neurology of the transplanted brain going to respond to a new body with a completely new environment?
The odds are that this body and this head will reject one another, and therefore all those organs will be lost to potential recipients. And I guess people might also be wondering, well, what happens if this guy does survive, if Valery, I think his name is, survives, and he goes on to live a happy and healthy life and he has kids? Are they his kids? From a genetic perspective, of course, they're not. And then we might say, well, then you can have this fascinating conversation. You can imagine it where you're saying to your child, hi, I'm your dad, and you tell them at an age when they can get their head around this thing. But, actually your biological dad died long before you were even conceived. It does raise interesting, I guess, logical and ethical conundrums like that.
I think the biggest concern is that we may not make patients better by doing this, and we put patients at risk for catastrophic injuries, death, and basically being in a vegetative state by doing procedures like this without having the technology to be able to take care of patients postoperatively and without being able to know what we're doing.
What do you think could be the dangers of even a successful head transplant?
Because everybody is unique. If that surgery succeeds, the people will mess. You are not you anymore. I don't know if you are another person or yourself. You will confuse.
There could be some brain damage, obviously infections in the blood, that sort of thing,
I think that there are many, due to kind of chemicals in the rest of the body, that could have impact on the person's actual kind of thinking, and also having to deal with that kind of perception of their new body as well.
Probably, but with many operations, there is always a risk that something goes wrong.
Yes, of course, many things. Such as the one part could reject the other part.
The chances of this working are 90%. Of course there is a marginal risk. I cannot deny that. The plan I prepared is just to make sure that when we move on Valery, we are sure, even more than 90%, that we will pull it off.
Knowing all this, Valery is still determined to go through with this creepy procedure.
I love science, I like medicine, so if I have a chance to full body replacement, and if it goes good, I think I will get rid of the limits which I have today, and I will be more independent, and this will much improve my life.
In your opinion, should a head transplant ever be allowed to happen?
Maybe not really for me. Okay, because as I said, this is really strange to put a head on a body which not mix it together at the beginning. So I don't know, it depends.
I think so. One day it will be allowed to happen, yes.
No.
Why not?
Never, because that will make the society mess.
I don't think there's too many ethical kind of principles that are being broken by it, so I'd say definitely.
Well, I don't think it can be possible, so I don't know. I don't know. In my mind, it is not possible.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if a guy's gonna die, I mean, if you can't save his life, why not?
Regulated the same way other transplants are, probably. Yes.
I don't see why not.
Do you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It depends whose head it is and whose body it's going on.
If I'm truly honest, as probably a Christian, probably not. But I think if it helps people later on, yeah, brilliant.
Canavero and his Chinese collaborator Xiaoping Ren have been reporting progress on the development of head transplantation techniques to journalists and the media for several years. They've claimed progress in transplant and spinal cord repair in rodents, dogs and primates, but only their work on rodents has been accepted and published by scientifically credible sources. More recently, in November 2017, Canavero carried out the world's first human head transplant using 2 corpses. During an 18-hour operation, experts demonstrated that it is possible to successfully reconnect the spine, nerves and blood vessels of a severed head.
I think the management of a corpse is obviously very different from a live patient because there's so many other factors that go on in a live patient. In a corpse, it's just a technical process of reattaching a brain to a spine. But as we all know, in a live patient, we've got factors such as blood pressure, heart rate. The brain controls every function in the body. And so if things are missing, such as the ability to regulate blood pressure or the regulate heart rate, it's impossible to successfully do it and keep the patient alive. So I think doing it in a corpse is, I think in terms of theoretical feasibility, in terms of just doing the technical part, it's fine. But I don't think that's something that really is that technically challenging. And there's no way of really proving that it works. Whereas doing it in the human or even an animal is much more technically challenging. And there are a lot of issues, both from a medical standpoint in terms of supporting the care and from an ethical standpoint in terms of whether you should be doing it and when you should be doing it, that come into play.
We don't know what happens when you combine a head that's conscious with a body that a lot of scientific evidence demonstrates is also part of the overall consciousness of a head. So the consciousness doesn't just rest in here. We know that the heart and other aspects of the human body also creates consciousness effects in the world. So for me, we will find that people will push the line. There will be people who want to step over the line, like the Canavero, who's the doctor, the surgeon, and all his colleagues. They can see that is a possible future, and that future has possibilities for people like this guy in Russia.
Whether the surgery is a success or not, it remains to be seen. I guess Rajendra has more for us. Raj, fire away at your quote of the day.
Head transplants go far beyond the ethical border. Why is this technology even being developed, and for what disorder? Will the brain harmonize with the soul? And how will consent be legally obtained? Are the simple truths really being explained? Ladies and gentlemen, many ethical questions remain unanswered. And why would someone volunteer for the head to be replaced? Memories and identity exist in the mind. So even after a successful operation, will the soul really be combined?
And that concludes this edition of the program. But don't forget, you can get involved and discuss today's most unusual topic or anything else with our team about the show via our website, presstv.com. Or you can drop us an email at pressplus@presstv.ir. You may also follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Merry Christmas, keep your hair on, or should I say, keep your head on. I'm Samson Sees. See you next time.